All right, let's talk about lengthened bicep curls and normal bicep curls. Now, most people feel like, okay, I've totally got bicep curls figured out, but we can always be improving our setup to really optimize those exercises and really target those muscle fibers, okay? So with the lengthened bicep curl, I'm gonna show you the banded version and the cable version, but what that does is, as the name might suggest, work our biceps in a more lengthened position. Now, how do we know if we're working our biceps in a more lengthened position? Well, if our shoulder is extended, that tends to target the more lengthened position of that bicep. So it means it's much harder at the bottom of that position. So for the banded bicep curl, you're going to want to set your anchor low to the ground. Can be all the way to the bottom, kind of in this area is totally fine. Now, one of the mistakes I see people make with bicep curls a lot is their arm path, they try to pinch their elbows into their sides. And what they're doing really is trying to find more stabilization for their bicep, which is totally natural to do, but it doesn't follow the natural arm path of the bicep. The natural arm path of the bicep actually is away from your body slightly, okay? It's not here, it's here. Okay, so think about that as you get yourself into position, okay? So you're gonna want a little bit of elbow extension. Now, you don't need to be like out here. You don't actually want it, that puts a lot of strain on your elbows because the bicep works your elbows in elbow flexion, okay? So just a slight bit of extension in the shoulder, okay? Your arms slightly away from your body. And you're gonna step forward enough that you feel a little bit of tension in that band. That's how you know you're in a good spot. And then you're going to bring your forearm up towards your bicep, okay? And notice the cable is just outside of my wrist. That's how you know you're in a good arm path. Now, another mistake I see people make is to try to get more range of motion. And so what they do is they bring their elbows forward to get more range of motion. You actually need to just stop in the most contracted position, okay? So to see that from the side, like I said, most people will like come up, and then they try to bring their elbows up to get more range of motion. But really, you need to stop when your bicep is most contracted, and you shouldn't be able to move that upper arm at all. It's all elbow flexion, okay? Right here. Okay, so let's see that again. Okay, step forward slightly. Okay, bands away from your body slightly. Okay, and that's what it should look like. Okay. Okay, let's look at the cable version of that lengthened bicep curl. So you're gonna set your cables all the way down to the bottom, use the handles, okay? Then you're going to just step forward to create that shoulder extension, okay? Now, I'm not cranked way back. You don't want to put too much strain on my elbows, just enough, okay? Feel a little bit of tension in those shoulders as they come back in extension. And then my arms, again, are slightly away from my body. The cable machine tends to kind of do that for you naturally because it's a little bit wider. And then I'm going to focus on flexing my elbow, bringing my forearms up to my bicep, and then slow eccentric, okay? So again, this movement is hardest in this lengthened bottom position and then tends to ease up a little bit at the top. So that's why we're not pausing at the top and we're really focusing on this eccentric, lowering portion of this movement. Keeping my upper arm fixed. Really focusing on good tempo. Okay, let's look at a basic bicep curl, okay? Now a basic bicep curl, when you're using a dumbbell, should actually be hardest at the top of the movement, okay? And so what you're going to do is you can stand with a staggered stance, and again, arms not pinched into your side, slightly out, and you're going to come up and you're going to pause in that most contracted position and then slowly, usually a 3 count down, and no pause at the bottom. Why no pause at the bottom? There's no tension there, right? Like we want to stop at the bottom because it's just like, oh, it's such a good rest. But we don't want to do that. We want to keep the time under tension. So up for 1, squeeze for 1, 1, 2, 3. Let's show that from the side. Notice my upper arm remains fixed, okay? So we're gonna keep a neutral upper arm. There's no extension here. We're just gonna keep it right here in line with the body. And notice I'm stopping at the most contracted position. And I'm not bringing my elbows up to get more range of motion because that releases the tension, okay? Okay. All right. Hopefully just a few of those tweaks will make your bicep curls even more effective.